The Moonstone Forest. Oh, it really glowed. We're talking soft silver light that seemed to just hang in the air like magic dust motes dancing around. Elara, a super cool healer with hair that looked like moonlight and eyes like a deep forest lake, walked those old paths every single night. She wasn't just out for a stroll, nope. She was hunting for super rare herbs that only popped up under Erthos's 2 special moons. But tonight, man, there was this weird low hum in the air, like a little tingle on her skin, whispering that something big was about to go down, like a huge storm coming. She finally found the glowing moss she needed for this special sleep potion. Its soft light actually pulsed and danced right on her fingertips as she gently picked it. Usually the forest was pretty quiet, just sleepy bird chirps or little critters rustling around. But as she reached for a big patch of that bright green stuff, something totally startled her, making her heart nearly jump out of her chest. It wasn't a normal forest sound, oh no, it was this deep, low groan, full of pure pain, a sound that just sliced through the peaceful night. Ilara's heart went thump, thump, thump against her ribs. She was a brave lady, facing the forest's gentle secrets alone every night. But, the Moonstone Forest also had darker, way deeper secrets, and some of them definitely weren't friendly. Still, being a healer meant duty called. Someone was hurting. So she took a deep breath, gathered all her courage, and followed that sound, walking deeper and deeper into the shimmering, silver-lit trees. She found him by a big, mossy, fallen log, almost totally hidden by the glowy ferns. He was a guy, a really big, powerful-looking man, with wide shoulders and a strong build. He wore dark, worn leather armor that totally screamed long journeys. One arm was bent in this really painful, unnatural way, and his face, even in the dim light, was super pale, his strong features all tight and drawn with agony. His hair was like midnight, falling across his forehead, and when his eyes slowly opened, they were this shocking, bright gold, like a fierce hunting hawk's eyes. Wow. "Easy there," Elara whispered, kneeling carefully beside him, making sure not to scare him even more. "I'm a healer, okay? Please, let me help you." He tried to push himself up, but a deep, painful gasp burst from his lips as his hurt arm screamed. "Stay back," he growled, his voice rough and deep, like stones scraping, but also strangely powerful. "I don't need charity." He actually looked away like he was embarrassed to be weak. Elara just gave him this soft, gentle smile that went right to her eyes. "Charity or not, you're hurt, and where I come from, we just don't leave folks hurting in the forest." She held out a hand, palm open, showing she was totally harmless. "My name's Elara." She gently, really carefully, touched his injured arm just above the bad bend. He flinched, a quick jolt went through him, but he didn't pull away completely. "This needs to be set, my friend. It's going to hurt, a good bit, before it feels better." He looked at her again, those bright golden eyes really searching her face, trying to see if she was for real in the soft moonlight. He didn't see any fear there, no weakness, just this quiet, steady strength and a really true kindness. He saw this little flicker of determination that totally matched his own. "Do it," he said through gritted teeth, getting ready, his jaw super tight. Elara worked fast, but with tons of care and confidence. She took a tiny bottle from her pouch, full of the special silvery salve she made from crushed moon petal flowers, and gently rubbed it around the injury. It made the sharpest pain just a little bit numb. Then, with a quick, firm, and practiced move, she popped his arm back into place. "Oof!" He cried out a sharp, powerful sound, but it was quick, stopped by his own strong will. Sweat beaded on his forehead, catching the silver light, but he didn't faint, didn't even really flinch after the first shock. "You're strong," she said, her voice full of real admiration as she started wrapping the arm tightly in clean, soft linen bandages. "Most guys would faint, or at least scream their heads off." He let out a small, humorless chuckle, a low rumble in his chest. "I faced worse," he mumbled. He paused, looking at her, a different kind of curious look in his golden eyes now. "I'm Kael, just a wanderer."
The word wanderer felt too small for him, like a coat he was wearing to hide something much bigger. Elara knew right away he was way more than just a wanderer. His dark armor, even though it was scuffed from traveling, was clearly super fancy, showing a really skilled maker. And his golden eyes held this ancient wisdom, a deep, tired knowledge that screamed, battles fought and worlds seen. "You can't travel with that arm," she said, stating the obvious. "Not tonight. Come to my little cottage. It's not far from here, just a bit deeper in the forest. You can rest there, and I can keep an eye on that arm for you." Kael thought about it for a long, long moment. His gaze stuck on her, weighing her words, her honest vibe. Finally, slowly, he gave a quick nod. He stood up, rising to his full height, and man, he was tall compared to her. Even with his injury, he moved with this powerful, smooth grace, like a wild cat slipping through shadows. They walked in comfy silence through the glowing forest. The air around Kael seemed to practically spark with some hidden energy, a faint hum that only Elara could feel. And whenever he was close, this strange new warmth started to bloom inside her. It was like no heat she'd ever felt, not from a fire or the sun, but a deep, stirring warmth that made her skin tingle. A feeling that was both exciting and, well, a little scary. The silence wasn't empty. It was filled with their soft footsteps, the gentle night sounds, and this unspoken connection growing between them. Her cottage was small, round, and just super cozy, built from local stone and wood with a thick, mossy roof. Inside, it smelled amazing, like earthy, comforting, dried herbs hanging from the ceiling and the sweet smell of warm bread she'd baked earlier. A happy fire crackled in the fireplace, throwing dancing golden shadows all over the simple wooden furniture. Kael looked around, his golden eyes taking everything in, from the neat shelves of little bottles and jars to the small, comfy bed in the corner. A faint smile even touched his lips, making his usually serious face soften. "Aw, thank you, Elara," he said, his voice a low rumble but softer now, way less guarded. He looked genuinely surprised by how comfy and peaceful her home was. She helped him take off his heavy, dark armor piece by piece, which was quite a job. It revealed this super muscular chest and broad shoulders. As each piece of armor came off, the air between them just seemed to get thicker, charged with something unsaid, something really personal. His gaze kind of lingered on her as she worked, warm and intense, making a little blush creep up her cheeks. He watched her every move with this silent admiration in his eyes. Over the next few days, Kael totally stayed at her cottage, resting and healing up. Elara took care of his arm diligently, changing the bandages every morning, massaging his muscles with soothing balms, and making him these strong healing teas that tasted of mint and sunshine. They spent hours just talking by the fire, especially when the twin moons were high up. He slowly, carefully told her stories of far-off lands, of amazing ancient cities that were now just crumbled dust, and of powerful forgotten magic that once shaped the whole world. She, in return, told him all about the Moonstone Forest, its quiet beauty, its secret springs, and the simple, gentle lives of the folks she helped in the nearby villages. She talked about how nature had its own rhythm, how wise the old trees were, and how magic was just woven into everyday life here. Kael was a private guy, his past like a heavy cloak he wore all the time, but with Elara, he slowly started to open up, like a rare flower that only blooms at night. He finally spilled it. He was a knight, a protector from this awesome kingdom that was now totally lost, swallowed by the darkness of a cruel, shadowy sorcerer. He was on this desperate, lonely mission to find a super powerful, legendary thing called the Sunstone, the only thing he believed that could beat the evil that had taken his home. He talked about how heavy his mission felt, the ghosts of his past, and the hope that just burned like a small, stubborn flame inside him. Elara listened, her heart aching with this deep sympathy for his lost world, and for the huge burden he carried all by himself. She saw the deep pain in his golden eyes when he talked about his kingdom, and the fierce, burning hope that kept him going. Their hands would sometimes brush when she gave him tea or fixed his blanket, and each touch sent this quiet warmth through her, a comfy hum that settled deep in her bones. One evening, as the twin moons shone their silver light right through the cottage window, making dancing patterns on the wooden floor and on them. Kael's arm was almost fully healed. He was strong again, could move freely. He watched her as she worked, grinding dried herbs with a mortar and pestle, her movements so graceful and sure. The soft glow of the moons outlined her face, making her look kinda ethereal, almost like a forest spirit. "You are truly kind, Elara," he said, his voice a low, rough rumble that made the air around them vibrate. It wasn't just kindness he saw, though. It was a strength and beauty that just pulled him right in. She looked up from her herbs, and their eyes met across the small room. That quiet warmth that had been building between them for days just suddenly flared into a quiet fire, leaping from his golden gaze to her forest green eyes. The air practically crackled. He slowly, deliberately stood up from his chair by the fire, his movements smooth and powerful, and walked right towards her, each step careful. "My quest. It's dangerous, Elara," he whispered, his eyes holding hers, pulling her into their golden depths. "And I've tried, truly, to stay away, to keep my heart safe from this, but I can't, not with you." His voice sounded raw with emotion, a vulnerability she hadn't seen before. He reached out, his now strong, uninjured hand gently, tenderly touching her cheek. His skin was warm, a sharp contrast to her own cool skin, and that warmth just spread through her like wildfire. A shiver ran through her, but it wasn't from being cold. It was this amazing, delicious tremble, a deep, aching desire that echoed the thrumming in the air. He leaned closer, slowly, his breath warm and sweet on her face, smelling like the spiced tea she'd made. The distinct smell of him, leather, deep forest, and something just uniquely Kael, something wild and untamed, filled her senses, making her head spin. Her heart started beating like a crazy hummingbird's wings, super fast and light. "Elara," he whispered, her name sounding like a husky plea on his lips. His lips found hers, soft, at first, like a gentle question, then getting deeper, more confident, more demanding, like he was answering a prayer held for ages. It was a kiss that tasted of ancient magic and brand new beginnings, of the wild, untamed forest and the sweet, dizzying promise of a new morning. Her hands just naturally went to his strong shoulders, her fingers gripping the firm muscles under his simple shirt, pulling him closer, needing to feel more of him. The silver moonlight poured all over them through the window, turning the little familiar cottage into a place of shimmering wonder, like a super special, safe spot where Heim just stopped. The kiss got deeper, becoming this silent, powerful language between them, a story of wanting, comfort, and this totally undeniable connection. Every touch, every breath, every soft, whispered sigh talked about a bond that felt as old as the Moonstone Forest itself, a realization that two souls had finally found their true home. The whole world outside the cottage, with its dangers and its quests, just faded away into this soft, blurry background, leaving only the warmth of his hug, the gentle strength of his hands holding her face, and this amazing, breathtaking feeling in her heart. They spent the night all wrapped up in each other's arms, not just in passion, but in this quiet closeness. They talked in soft whispers, sharing dreams they'd barely dared to admit even to themselves, and fears they'd never spoken out loud. They just lay there together, listening to the soft sounds of the forest, feeling each other's comforting weight, finding peace and comfort under the steady, soft glow of the twin moons. It was a night of huge discovery, of two souls who'd been alone for so long, finally mixing together and finding their real, safe spot with each other. The next morning, the cottage was filled with the soft, golden light of the rising sun, mixing with the lingering silver glow of the moons. Kael's arm felt strong, practically fully healed, like her magic, along with their night together, had worked a miracle. But something else had healed too, something deep inside him, a wound in his spirit he hadn't even known was there. His golden eyes, though still serious, had a new, softer sparkle. "I have to go," he said, his voice heavy with regret, but also with this new, quiet determination. The outside world, the urgent task, was waiting for him. The Sunstone isn't going to find itself, and my kingdom needs its light more than ever. Elara nodded, her heart aching with this kind of sweet, sad understanding that their beautiful, stolen time together was ending. She knew he had a job to do, a really big burden to carry. Their time had been this beautiful, perfect dream, a little break from the storm, but duty was calling him back to the fight.
Be careful, Kael, she said, her voice soft, filled with all the love and worry she felt. She reached up and touched his face, tracing the strong line of his jaw. Come back to me, okay? He pulled her close then, giving her this long, lingering hug that said so much. A really powerful embrace full of unspoken promises. I will return, Elara, he promised, his voice firm, echoing with certainty. When this is all over, when the darkness is gone, I will return to you. My heart will lead me home. He kissed her one more time, a deep, tender kiss that sealed his promise on her lips, a burning memory for her to hold on to. Then, with one last lingering look that said everything, he turned and walked out of the cottage, his strong body quickly disappearing into the silver light of the Moonstone Forest, melting into the ancient trees like he was part of their magic. Elara watched him go, her heart aching with him gone already, but also buzzing with this quiet, fierce hope that beat along with the forest. She knew deep in her soul that he'd keep his promise, and she would wait, taking care of her herbs, living her life under the twin moons, until her warrior with the golden eyes came back home to her.